Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to get over what happened in the past? Original post. I am new on Reddit, so for some background and context, I, 54 female, have one daughter, Ella, 28 female, with my ex, Dylan, 57 male. Dylan and I amicably divorced when Ella was only 4 years old. A few years later, I married my now husband, Jack, 55 male. He was a single dad with 2 kids, Jason, 25 male, and Sophie, 27 female. Jack and I also have a daughter, Bella, 17 female. This is about Sophie and Ella. I always thought that since they were closer in age, they would get along really well. And I was right, they were like the best of friends and we were really happy in our blended family. When Ella was in college, she met this guy, Brian, 30 male, at a cafe where she worked. They started dating and I was happy for Ella. Brian proposed to Ella in front of her whole family and it was very romantic. Everything was fine until one day, Ella came to our house screaming at Sophie. She claims that Sophie has been sleeping with Brian. I told her she must be joking. Sophie would never do that to her. There was a lot of screaming until Sophie finally said that she and Brian are in love. This caused more commotion. We did have an extremely hard conversation with Sophie. She showed her remorse and was very guilty. We tried to talk to Ella, that Sophie was sad and maybe she should forgive her, that Ella was having none of that. She went on to more screaming and bashing all of us that we were abandoning her and picking Sophie. This is not the case. I tried to make it as peaceful as possible, but Ella didn't want that. When Ella and Brian broke up, she started dating Sophie. They got engaged within a year. Sophie wanted Ella to be her bridesmaid, but Ella just said, "Over my dead body." I thought it was really cruel of her to say that, and she is being petty by holding on to the past anger. Needless to say, she didn't come to the wedding. Rather, she left to the city to live with her father. She didn't contact us much except for Bella. I thought she might need some time to cool off, but I was hurt that she kept us out of her life. We only got some insight from both Bella and Jason. She only sent me cards on my birthday, but hardly ever spoke to me. I think it was unfair. One day she came to our place. Sophie and Brian was also there. She gave us an invitation card to her wedding with someone named Ray. I don't know much about him. She didn't even include us in the wedding party. Plus the venue was a 4-hour drive and the hotels in that area is expensive. We did agree, but at the last moment Jack got sick and I had to cancel it. When I told her the reason that I cannot come to her wedding, she told me not to bother. She made the right choice by not including me in her wedding. She knew that I was a bad mom. It really bothered me. I always wanted to be by her side, but the place and time she was getting married was not compatible for us. That was 2 years ago. She never contacted us again. A few weeks ago, my daughter Bella showed me a post on Instagram that Ella was pregnant. She posed with her stepmother with a caption like, "She will be a good grandmother." I was furious. How could she forget her whole family here? So I called her from Bella's phone and wanted an explanation. She replied that since I never bothered to be at her wedding, I don't deserve to be in her kids' life. She said it's not just her wedding. She claims I have never been supportive of her, that I do not care about her. She went on to blabbing that she never felt like she had my support, even when she got cheated on and I chose my stepdaughter over her. I told her it was not fair for her to hold that against me till now because it was 6 years ago. She has moved on and Sophie has moved on as well. She is being petty by holding on to something that happened years ago. So did I do anything wrong? Edit. Look, I did not abandon Ella. I tried to be there for her. When she and Brian broke up, I went to her place to support her almost every day. I just think it's silly to hold on to something that happened years ago. I get that she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, but she could have attended the wedding. I never pressured her. Yes, I was disappointed, but she politely declined that. I would have never thought it was cruel. And I tried my best to attend her wedding. We booked the hotel too, but Jack got really sick. We did apologize and promised to make it up to her somehow, but she rejected it. And now for some advice before reading the update. You are the a-hole. What Sophie did to Ella was not petty or inconsequential. You shouldn't have supported and forgiven Sophie so easily after her act of betrayal. You're lucky Ella ever kept in touch with you at all. Was Jack really sick, or was he bitter about Ella not attending his daughter's wedding, so this was an excuse that OP came up with just to justify not going. This. Like, obviously, Sophie is also her daughter, so you just don't disown her, but damn, the boyfriend and fiance would not be welcome, and I'm sure would never ask my daughter to just accept it and get over it. The sad thing is, if this would have been handled differently, Ella may have grown to accept and move on from the betrayal, but it was a betrayal and betrayal. There needs to be some serious recognition of how terrible this situation was handled, some major apologies, and probably some therapy if they have any chance of being in each other's lives again. I told her she must be joking. Sophie would never do that to her. But she did do that to her, and it's unforgivable. You let the two liars and cheaters into your house and attended their wedding. Also unforgivable. Pretty nice that Sophie moved on, though. How could you even ask if you're the a-hole here? It's pretty obvious, and your daughter spelled it out for you. And I think calling you an a-hole is putting it kindly. You did choose the cheater side over your firstborn child, who's was the person that was hurt in the situation. Then fairly quickly you tell her to get over it. This wasn't some puppy love high school situation that they were engaged to be married and your a-hole of a stepdaughter slept with her stepsister's fiance. This is some Jerry Springer, Jeremy Kyle shit. Then you accept the scumbag who cheated on her into your home and supported him and your stepdaughter's relationship. Your emotionally tone-deaf stepdaughter asked her to be a bridesmaid at her and her own ex's wedding, which should have been hers in the first place if they weren't such assholes. And you think you have the right to be offended on her saying over her dead body? Let's say your sister screwed your husband and everyone took her side. How would you react? Your daughter rightfully went low and no contact for her own emotional and mental health, offers you an olive branch to attend her wedding, and your husband gets sick. Unspecified kind of sick, might I add, which means likely it wasn't life-threatening or requiring hospitalization. You were butthurt of not being involved in the wedding party, so you decide to skip her wedding and olive branch over ego. You find out after years of no contact she's pregnant and think you have a right to be involved after all that, after you repetitively put everyone else above your own child in every way. You're not only an asshole, but delusional and, dare I say, narcissist. I hope she sticks to her guns and stays away from you. Kudos to her for knowing she's worth so much more than the bullshit you're parading. Why is everyone's feelings, including your own, more important than hers, asshole? Now for the update. Hi guys, this is Bella. I'm 17 years old and female. I'm the half-sister, and I'm writing this update to clear things up. Basically, the solo argument with Ella being pregnant happened 2 months ago, and there have been fights and crying from my mom's part. I tried my best to explain to her that what she did was over the line. She cannot expect Ella to be okay with it. After my mom hurt her, my mom still insists Ella is being unfair, and she thinks every other person would agree with her, LOL. So I just gave her that. I've been on Reddit for 3 years, and I've seen how many people tear apart people like Mom. So I told her that she should post it anonymously on Reddit. I did help her in the steps to make sure she includes everything, but she still left out some parts. I challenged her that nobody thinks she's right after the nonsense she pulled. It was hilarious to see my mom reacting to the comments. She genuinely thought people would be on her side, LOL. She read comments for 3 hours. You guys even PM'd her, and those were the cherry on the top, seeing how people actually see her. She literally cried her eyes out, though she's still in denial and keeps saying they don't know anything. Well, she had a breakdown of how cruel some comments and replies are. My dad came home and saw Mom crying and scolded me for airing out her dirty laundry. My mom demanded that I delete it. Instead, I deleted a Reddit app from her phone. But now I'm writing this for you guys. I must say Reddit did not disappoint. I've been reading all the comments and they are entertaining. My mom refuses to look at them. She's a lost cause, but I'm here to clear things up a bit. I am the observer of my family, so I have observed a lot of things. First of all, my mom didn't cheat with my dad as far as I know. Since some of you are suggesting the divorce with Ella's dad was amicable, but that's what I heard. My mom has this weird obsession with having twins. She always wanted twin girls, but that never happened. Since Sophie and Ella are almost the same age, my mom pretended that they were twins. I think she created this whole fantasy in her mind that Ella and Sophie will do everything together and have a matching life. And though Al and Sophie have never had bad blood, they are far from being twins. They are like normal people, but my mom still wanted a twin lifestyle for them. Also, just like you guys pointed out, Mom is the type of person whose family comes first. She wanted Ella to forgive everything and to be okay with Brian and Sophie so that Mom can show it off to people that in our family we always forgive and forget no matter how crappy the other person is. And Ella was ruining that Disney musical fantasy for my mom. My dad only cared about his bio daughters, so he was never mean to Ella and always loved her. Blood comes first for him as well. Jason pretty much doesn't care. He and Sophie were not that close. I'm close with Ella, and the only reason I showed that Instagram post was so that I can show Mom that Ella's doing as she always asked me about her life. I thought this would bring some form of accountability from her part, but no, as you can see, I was wrong and I take full responsibility for it. Second thing, Mom and Dad did berate Sophie about her affair with Brian. Sophie started waterworks saying she would do anything to gain forgiveness from Ella. Sophie even said that she would cut off all contact with Brian, but Ella was having none of it. I think my parents got manipulated by the fake waterworks of Sophie. That's why they kept pushing for forgiveness. Ella and you guys asked about what happened to Jack, my dad. Well, he fell down the stairs and hurt his back. I wasn't there because I was a bridesmaid at Ella's wedding, so I was spending the whole week there in her town. Sophie and Brian were not invited. Jason was out of town too, but I still think if Mom made an effort, she could have easily made it to the wedding. She did try to say sorry and offer to pay for their honeymoon, but I don't think that is enough. I mean, it was her daughter, for God's sake. Lastly, my mom lied. Sophie and Brian are not a happy couple, LOL. They look like they are on the brink of divorce. My mom still has no idea that Brian, she, and Sophie went to a stripper on his bachelor party, and Sophie forgave him because it was his bachelor party, so it doesn't count. I knew that she also cheated on him at her bachelorette party too. I don't have the evidence, but I just know. A month ago, Sophie decided that she would also try for a baby, and I'm willing to bet that Brian will skip town when that happens, or he will not be the father, but we shall see. Also, I'm sorry for dragging you guys into my family drama. I just wanted Mom to see that she is wrong. She tried to save her behind by replying, but you guys just ripped her a new one. Sorry if you felt deceived that someone else coerced Opie to make a post, so I am being clear once and for all that the first post was made by my mom. This update is being written by me, Bella, the youngest sibling. If you guys have any questions, I will try my best to answer them. Story 2, update. Am I the a-hole for leaving my boyfriend when his ex died, leaving him to take care of his kids full time? Original post. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 30 male, for 2 years now. He has 2 kids, 6 male and 4 female, with his ex-girlfriend. She moved to another state with kids to be near her family when they broke up 3 years ago. He got them on vacations only. I knew all of this when I started dating him. I had no issue with this, but told him forefront, I can't be a parent. I was parentified by my mom and raised my 5 younger siblings. The oldest of them is 6 years younger than me, and I had to change his diapers and feed him formula. I went low contact with my family when I left home at 18. I can't imagine doing that again. He was also snipped after the last kid and didn't want more kids. He was fine with me not wanting to be a parent and just be a bonus adult. We are taking it slow, and I didn't even meet his kids until a few months back. We took a trip together and got along great. Things changed 2 months ago when his ex died. Kids were really crushed as they moved into his house. We were not living together, but he asked if I could move in to help him out just for a while. I couldn't refuse and stayed, but I started hating it again. I hated how clingy the kids became and how much responsibility I had. I did my best, but my mental health started getting worse every day. I didn't even get help from my boyfriend because he was struggling too. Last week was especially bad since the younger kid had a cold and wanted me to nurse her back to health exactly as her mom would have. The soup wasn't the same, the song and story wasn't told the same way. I I didn't hug her the same as her mom did, etc. were some of the long list of complaints. I know she is grieving, but I was already working from home and stressed too. When I told my boyfriend he should take over, he said they need me more since I'm a mom. It triggered me. I didn't want to be held to a mom's responsibilities again. I told him I can't do this. He said I needed to stop acting like a child and step up. I understood if I stayed, my whole life would be like this, never measuring up, never being enough, and all the responsibilities of a mom. I left yesterday and moved in with a friend. My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, is blasting my phone, calling me an a-hole. Am I the a-hole? And now for some additional advice before reading the update. Not the a-hole. He said I needed to stop acting like a child and step up. You're 26 and that's not your kid. You're not even married. Why did I have to scroll so far down to see this comment? They aren't even married. They're not even living together. She had barely even met the kids. OP's relationship had an expiration date the moment the kid's mom died, but she was kind and pitched in to help out temporarily anyway. Living together was only supposed to be temporary. Dating is an audition for a more serious commitment, even if they had been living together when mom died. These kids are not her responsibility. Her ex-boyfriend just failed his audition. The dad is incredibly entitled to talk like that. He wants a free nanny when he should be stepping up. Don't have the kids if you don't want to be a parent. When I told my boyfriend he should take over, he said they need me more since I'm a mom. Not the a-hole and good for you for moving out. You shouldn't have to be unwillingly parentified a second time. It does look like he planned on making you the main parent instead of himself. Now for the update. The last few days were chaotic and full of confusion to say the least. I didn't answer a lot of questions and I'm sorry to all of you for that. I was not in the right state of mind and was overwhelmed by all the replies. As is human nature, all the reasons I was an a-hole and cold-hearted bitch messed with my mind a lot. To answer a few questions, I didn't leave without a goodbye. I had told the kids goodbye. I didn't want to cause too much strain and said I was leaving for a while for work. I did just tell my ex I was leaving. I couldn't take another round of stop acting like a child and grow up. I don't normally work from home. He asked me to stay home with his daughter, stating he doesn't know how to take care of a sick kid. She really was sick at first and I went along with it, but he refused to even help in the evenings. Most of your assumptions about him was true in the sense I almost always ended up looking after the kids alone. He rarely did his part. It was either he was exhausted, he couldn't face them, he didn't know how to deal with their grief, or I did it better. It was not what we agreed upon when I moved in to help. I was supposed to help him, show him the ropes, but I ended up feeling like a single mom. As a parent, he got custody. His ex's parents said that was the best since they were already retired. They did not want to raise the kids. Anyway, I was able to move back into my earlier apartment. Thankfully, the landlord hadn't rented it out to anyone else. I did have a lease, but I did not want to keep paying rent and had to come to an agreement with the landlord to sublet the apartment from month to month until I'm back. Being back in my space, I feel so much more calmer. I also met with my ex. After the initial blasting, he called me yesterday asking if we could meet. I wanted to get more clarity too and agreed. He came over, finally got a babysitter, and we had a good talk. He apologized for everything he said, and he said it was a big unexpected change for him too. He was scared and didn't know how to raise them, being a vacation dad, having children home every day and thinking this was how it's going to be for the rest of his life, his words, and it terrified him. I said that I understand, but I cannot be a mom to those kids. I cannot take his responsibilities. I want to help, but not in that capacity. I need boundaries. He said he expected as much. He agrees he should never have asked so much of me. He asked if I could help him still, that the kids miss me, and asked when I will be back. He needed me, and I refused. I told him I will help him. I will come around sometimes when I can, as a friend of Dad's would, but I won't move back in. I won't be a stepmom. He asked if I was breaking up with him. The truth is, I don't know. I do love him, but it won't work out in the long term. And everything he did and said is still raw in my mind. I said as much to him. I can't be in a committed relationship with him. I won't go anywhere. I will help and support as much as I can, but as a friend. I guess we are ending that relationship. I met with the kids this morning and went over there with some pancakes. They asked when I was coming back to live with them. I told them I have my own home to take care of, but I will visit them when I can. While surprised, they seemed to be accepting of the situation. They had questions, of course, but just accepted I will be Daddy's friend. His daughter asked if I could still be her best friend. I agreed. I guess that won't be too hard. She gave me a hug before he took them to school and daycare. I actually feel so much better too. This was a role that I can deal with. I don't know if it's the right way, I just hope that it works. Thank you all for your replies and guidance. Now for the comments. Wow, decided to check on you and here this is. I have serious problems with how he just put the labor on anyone but himself, but I'm glad you're working on what really are your terms. Wishing you the best and for those kids. Yes, I understand that it was unexpected and scary for him too, but he should have done the majority of the parenting himself and only asked for assistance. It's like he expected the woman to take care of the kids because that's normal. Not okay at all to me as a man and a father. I think OP handled it very well considering the circumstances. Him wanting an apology from OP is so crazy. That means he still doesn't really understand the problem and how wrong he was. I especially hated how he negged and guilt-tripped her into doing his parenting for him. Grow up, stop acting like a child when he was the one that needed to grow up and step up. What a manipulative bell end. He said he expected as much. He agrees he should never have asked so much of me. He asked if I could help him still. That the kids miss me and asked when I will be back. He needed me. Translation: I learned my lesson and I understand what I did was wrong. Now here's me doing the exact same thing one sentence later to prove I've learned nothing and am just saying the things I think you need to hear in order to get you to come back and resume being a single parent to my children. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.